TLC's 90 Day Fiancé and all of its spin-offs are truly a gift for anyone who can't look away from supremely cringy on-screen moments. It appears that awkwardness knows no bounds when it comes to love between virtual strangers. From eye-popping convos to jaw-dropping takedowns, these are the most uncomfortable moments ever on the show. Jesse and Darcey have dutifully earned their title as most explosive couple on any of the many 90 Day Fiancé spin-offs. The shoe incident, where Jesse throws a fit because Darcey allegedly stood on his sneakers, is certainly vying for the couple's most hard-to-watch moment. But it's the steak-cutting ordeal from the night just before that really takes the cake.
I'm just helping you. We're doing this together, right? I've worked in restaurants, so okay.
An argument erupts during the couple's first family dinner with Darcey's daughters, when she insists Jesse should cut the steak he's preparing on a bias. After storming out, he proceeds to craft the most awkward reality TV dinner by sitting at the head of the table, pretending to be calm, and claiming he isn't going to argue in front of the kids, which he already did. Finally, one of Darcey's daughters states the obvious.
Are y'all serious?
Yeah. Okay.
Both of you guys are acting like you're my age. Just grow up, please.
Thank you, honey.
Fans have pointed out that pretty much the entirety of Nicole and Azan's relationship reads like an early 2000s AOL phishing email sprung into real life. Let's just take a look at some of the alarm-raising things surrounding the couple's love story. There's the alleged ex-girlfriend who called Azan a quote, con artist, the rumors that Azan dumped Nicole after she couldn't give him any more money, their 2 canceled weddings and visits, and the fact that Azan's K-1 visa was ultimately denied. Even Nicole's own mother admits she doesn't trust Azan. Still, the most painful to watch moment came when the American reality star is criticized by her future hubby for being more than he bargained for.
When I see all her body, I was surprised that she's big a little bit.
Azan then tries to force his fiancée to even work out. He then threatens to not come to America unless she agrees to really focus on her fitness. The worst part? Azan claims to only be half attracted to his future blushing bride.
Physically, I'm attracted to Nicole, but it's not like, it's just like, for example, 55%.
Anfisa might just be the hero of 90 Day Fiancé, at least according to Reddit. You can't deny that the Russian-bred reality star has always been transparent about her gold-digging intentions with her fiancé George. She has no qualms about telling George that she hates being married to him, but none of the couple's interactions have been more uncomfortable than one excruciatingly long silence during the show's 2016 Tell-All special. Earlier that season, Anfisa scratches the word idiot into the driver's side door of George's car, and though she has a lot of time to reflect on the incident before the tell-all, it doesn't appear like she achieved any clarity. The silence that launched millions of cringes across America occurs when Anfisa is asked if she regrets keying her husband's car.
Did you regret etching the word idiot into the car? Why not?
Anfisa then silently stares ahead as the cameras pan to her co-stars for what feels like the longest stretch of silence in TV history. Leida's American dream came to a swift halt when she found out she flew all the way from Indonesia to share a twin bed with her fiancé in a trash-filled apartment in Wisconsin. It was clear that this star, who was used to a life of luxury, struggled with her choice when she realized good old Eric was actually flat-out broke.
Where am I?
You're number 1.
Okay, prove it then.
An uncomfortable argument eventually breaks out, stemming from Eric's child support payments, which were reportedly less than $1,000 a month. The Indonesian star claims her parents paid the equivalent of $300,000 for her first wedding, yet she's forced to marry Eric in what looks to be a motel conference room. From the outside, the child support argument seems like a cultural hiccup, or that's how Eric frames it. But according to Vice, Indonesia has similar child support laws to America, so take that as you will. Either way, tensions come to a head, and Leida breaks down and threatens to call off the wedding. She said on the show, "I feel like I'm forcing myself to get married with you because I don't want to leave this country.
I get to stay here in America."
Somehow, Chantel and Pedro managed to out-awkward Jesse and Darcey in the family dinner drama department. Their meal quickly turns into an all-out brawl, but tensions are already uncomfortably high after Chantel's parents admit they hired a private investigator to look into whether Pedro's family were just using their daughter for a green card. Obviously, Pedro is less than thrilled with the situation, and things quickly devolve when his sister Nicole comes to visit.
Okay. You just call me a Yes.
It's obvious from the start that the entire meal is basically a setup. The Everetts spend a few minutes exchanging fake pleasantries before poking the bear and asking about Nicole's true motives. The conversation erupts into a screaming match as the sisters-in-law accuse each other of lying and Chantel's brother throws a punch at Pedro. At this point, dinner starts to resemble a WWE brawl that ends with Chantel sobbing in a corner as her mother holds up the extensions ripped from Nicole's scalp.
You do that?
Danielle and Mohamed pretty much set the 90 Day Fiancé precedent for Nicole and Azan. According to Radar Online, the Ohio resident claimed in her annulment papers that Mohamed had multiple affairs and used a number of Facebook pages to, quote, solicit money from various women. Of course, he denied all of this, but there's one rumor he didn't even bother to squash. He was not attracted to his wife, and there was no mistaking otherwise. Throughout the show, it becomes very clear that Mohamed is truly disgusted by Danielle. He doesn't even want to kiss her at their wedding, citing a Muslim holiday as the reason, and she claims they were intimate only one time, 3 months after tying the knot. In one of the most uncomfortable tell-all reunions to date, Mohamed claims the real issue was that Danielle allegedly smelled and reportedly urinated on him.
You know what? I don't even want to know.
Unfortunately, neither their co-stars nor the rest of us can turn back time and unhear any of that. If you thought nothing could be more awkward than Karine finding out her future husband is a convicted arsonist, you would unfortunately be wrong. In between donning what looked like a bulletproof vest to walk the streets of Karine's hometown and arguing with her strictly through a translation app, Paul also found the time to slip on a waterborne organism-repelling apparatus to go swimming with her.
The doctor told me to basically take a standard condom and delicately secure it to myself.
While Karine jumps right into the water, Paul has his apprehensions because a doctor warned him not to swim in any untreated bodies of water. There are allegedly diseases, which Paul seemingly takes to mean STDs for some reason. He then shows the cameras the sheath he has fashioned to protect himself from parasites, which is actually a semi-valid concern according to the CDC. Still, there's little medical explanation. But even with every precaution in place, he still made what could have been a flirty swim almost turn into a life-saving effort.
Poop water.
Larissa didn't know what she was in for when she moved into what the Twitterverse has dubbed the Bates Motel to be with her fiancé Colt and his ever-present mother. It's not easy living with the parents, but mother-in-law Debbie has been known to leave Larissa stranded so that producers have to step in and give her a lift.
Who is the queen will die?
There's a whole lot about Colt and Larissa's marriage that's uncomfortable, including the family barbecue blowout where Colt refuses to stand up for his wife, and of course, Larissa's domestic violence arrests. But their TMI love life still takes the top spot. In the past, Larissa has stated that Colt is under the wrong impression if he thinks all Latino women are all about flaunting their assets. But that doesn't stop her from coming up with a creative way to ask for lip injections on 90 Day Fiancé Happily Ever After. She said on the show, "Colt should pay for my lip injections because he has a hungry sexual drive and I will feel very confident after I fill in my lips."
You sound like a prostitute.
The wife are the most expensive prostitutes ever, darling.
Ever since season 5 of the show, it seemed like David would do almost anything to not have a job to support himself. His buddy Chris, who deserves the trophy for Friend of the Century, has continuously tried to make sure his best pal has the tools to get back on his feet, but it's more or less been futile. After what seems like endless months of unemployment, the entrepreneur finally offers David a partnership in his restaurant, which David of course rejects. After that, he's essentially cut off from his cash cow. While David has put his loyal wife Annie through the ringer with bad living situations, things get ultra awkward when they're forced to move out of Chris's renovated firehouse and into what's essentially a glorified storage unit. Who can really blame Annie for being mad about that? At least the rent is free, but it comes at a price. Annie can't shower for more than 2 minutes because the hot water heater is extremely small. There's no stove, and they can't open the window.
It's not what we want, it's not everything we need, but it is a roof over our head right now.
I should not come here.
But as fans know, the move was only temporary, and the couple seem to be very happily married today in an actual home. Ricky was on 90 Day Fiancé before the 90 days for a dramatically short amount of time. The TV star was living fast, with a short pre-planned vacation to Colombia where he hoped to find a fiancé before heading back to the States. But pretty much all of Ricky's brief appearance on the spin-off is awkward, especially since he was reportedly still married to his wife in Texas, according to Starcasm. He first seeks out a younger student named Melissa, who clearly isn't interested and basically ghosts him. Ricky then moves on to his supposed plan B, Ximena. He pretends like she was always his number one, but the Colombian beauty eventually discovers that she's his backup woman, finally confronting Ricky about it during a romantic dinner. Audiences cringed, but Starcasm suggests that the whole thing was a ruse set up for the show, and Melissa was a fake, which would make the couple's entire argument about her even more uncomfortable. Angela may have been hand-plucked from the Maury stage to cause a ruckus on 90 Day Fiancé following 2 explosive appearances on the talk show, so it shouldn't be too surprising that awkward moments were aplenty between the outspoken American and her much younger fiancé Michael. What else would you expect when you take a Trump-loving American and throw her into Nigerian culture? Though most of us were pretty sure that nothing could be more uncomfortable than Angela shopping for a traditional outfit, even though no store carries her size. The worst moment comes during the tell-all reunion when Michael calls her his elder.
I'm not your elder. I'm not your damn Michael, you just pissed me off.
Spoiler alert, she is his elder, and Michael is clearly just stating the facts. Still, Angela screams at him, calls him an idiot, and storms off set like a proper reality star. When Molly brought home her brand new Dominican fiancé Luis, things pretty much imploded right from the start. There's the difficult age difference, his awkward chats with her daughters, and the fact that this 90 Day Fiancé couple was actually secretly married the entire time. If that wasn't bad enough, Luis has a really strange gripe with Molly that made most of us sitting at home scratch our heads. The argument in question devolves very quickly into a contest about who is the holliest person in the couple. Luis claims Molly has mixed too many religious totems around the house. He also criticizes her for having a Buddha, but not a single Bible or anything that has to do with the Christian God. Louise then starts asking Molly if she knows about witchcraft. Molly, who was originally trying to see if her husband was prepared to be a dad, is absolutely perplexed and screams back.
You're dead wrong to come in here with all your religious beliefs and values when you are sitting here straight sinner.
Initially, Larissa's relationship with Eric seemed healthier than her previous marriage. He did, after all, loan her $30,000 for plastic surgery, but not before asking for a signed contract. He didn't even complain too much when taking care of her in the days following the surgery. Nevertheless, this was doomed from the moment Colt somehow got involved and became the trigger for one of the most awkward arguments in the 90-day extended universe. When the pair first got together, Larissa lent Eric a cell phone, which he then used to text other women. When Larissa discovered the messages, she called one of the women up, looking for answers, and found out that Eric had met up with Colt, and that they bonded by making fun of Larissa's love life. The only reason that woman knew any of this was because Eric allegedly bragged about it. At the time, the woman claimed Eric was a stranger. This was a horrifying revelation for Larissa, considering her exes are grown men, and not 15-year-old boys trying to look cool in the locker room. She subsequently confronted Eric in an explosive argument, telling the cameras,
I find out that he was using the phone that I gave it to him to trash me. It's not fair.
Big Ed's appearance during season 4 of 90 Day Fiancé before the 90 days spawned a bevy of memes, largely because it seemed like Ed's girlfriend Rosemarie couldn't stand anything about him. Fans noticed her perpetual stink face, and you can't really blame her when she had to endure the company of a man who conditions his hair with mayonnaise and brazenly asks her to shave her legs and take an STD test. Everything about Ed reeked of a man who's more comfortable living life in the States, especially his conversation about Rosemarie's breath. There's a nice way to approach certain subjects, but Ed took the road less traveled when telling his girlfriend that her breath wasn't up to snuff. He assumed the Filipino beauty didn't understand dental hygiene and presented mouthwash and toothpaste as a gift, adding,
"Just your breath is not, pretty."
All Rosemarie could do was tell Ed that she's well aware of the concept of dental hygiene and that her real issue was a stomach ulcer. As viewers found out in Season 4 of 90 Day Fiancé before the 90 days, Australia doesn't just have spider rain, huntsman spiders big enough to eat possums, and the most venomous marine animal on the planet. It is also apparently rife with toxic masculinity, at least for the purposes of the show. When Avery flew to Australia to spend time with her dating coach boyfriend Ash, she learned that all too well. Ash had his fair share of cringy moments on and after the series, including lying to Avery about how his ex-wife was supportive of moving their young son to the States, lying to Avery about sticking to their shared diet, and lying to Avery about text messages during the tell-all. The worst, however, was when Avery sat in on Ash's shocking dating seminar.
The men knew what they had to do. They went out, they worked, they brought the money. The woman went home.
The conference was meant to help single women find the perfect partner, but it devolved into a hypocritical mess where Ash claimed that women have so many thoughts in their brain at one time that they're always, quote, going crazy. Coincidentally, the talk went so poorly that he got flustered and had to excuse himself. Avery was horrified at what she heard and confronted her boyfriend, who was not receptive to her criticism. Their argument got so heated, Ash nearly fled in anger until a producer intervened. Jesse is another man who should probably remove himself from the public speaking circuit, but instead, he's living his best life all the way to the old folks' home. After spending a couple seasons basically terrorizing Darcey, so much so that fans were reportedly concerned she was a victim of domestic abuse, the 90 Day star decided to become a motivational speaker. In a clip from 90 Day Fiancé What Now?, we find out that Jesse has become a hot commodity on the nursing home circuit, delivering seminars on none other than love. Because, as fans witnessed when his relationship with Darcey combusted, he's super good at it.
I want the feedback of, hey, wow, I walked out of this room and you touched me.
As much as we'd love to be a fly on Jesse's booking agent's wall as the reality star claims to really connect with the elderly community, TLC did let us in on the seminar, in which the seasoned audience appears to be 5 minutes from falling asleep. The reactions to the scene on social media were a bit more volatile, with one user writing, "I know, I almost wet myself when I saw Jesse coaching the blind elderly people." And quite a few latched onto the easy joke that having to sit through Jesse's seminar amounted to elder abuse. If this was all just an effort to revamp his sullied image, we're not sure he accomplished the mission. Darcey had a tough run with Tom, who became one of the most wanted supervillains of the entire 90 Day franchise after first appearing on Season 3 of Before the 90 Days. To this day, his hand-delivered breakup letter to Darcey has gone unread. And after their brutal split, it's hard to blame her. It all went down when Darcey decided to meet up with Tom in New York City to discuss some photos she saw on social media of him with another woman. At the time, the pair's relationship was in a state of limbo, and it seemed like she was hoping their meetup would smooth things over. Instead, she snubbed his hug, and under a heavy dose of duress, Tom owned up to falling for someone else 3 weeks prior, blaming Darcey for the reason he went behind her back. Urging her to not rebound onto the next guy, he mused, "I met someone that loves me the way I wanted to be loved." If it wasn't bad enough that Tom claimed to love Darcey like a sister, he ended things with one final jab before Darcey stormed off.
You put weight on.
What was that?
It should be noted that Tom isn't the one with his own spin-off. As for his new relationship, Soap Dirt reported that Tom claimed it was short-lived after it was revealed that his mysterious lover allegedly had a fiancé of her own. It's unclear why Debbie always seems to be right in the middle of Colt's relationship problems. But there she was, getting her son's intimate text messages shoved in her face during a particularly cringy argument on Season 5 of 90 Day Fiancé Happily Ever After. It all went down when Colt's new Brazilian boo, Jess, discovered that when her boyfriend wasn't with her, he was apparently on the prowl, sending a slew of other women explicit photos. Though the pair hashed it out at a cat cafe, Jess ultimately brought it up again during an awkward hangout with Debbie, who was just trying to share a fruit platter with her son's girlfriend.
A really great actor. Debbie, here. You wanna see?
The former go-go dancer couldn't have a run out of there fast enough. Considering Colt's eventual foray into OnlyFans, Debbie is probably used to the lifestyle by now. All in all, it's hard to tell what's worse: Colt sending racy photos to random women, or his mom almost catching a peek. Either way, our brains need a shower. 90 Day Fiancé has become more unhinged as seasons progress. Case in point, self-proclaimed cougar Stephanie and Harris, the third cousin of Stephanie's fiancé Ryan. How are they involved? We're glad you asked. Stephanie found herself in a tumultuous situation after flying to Belize to start the K1 process with Ryan. She gave him a ring to propose, but they ended up calling it quits after Stephanie revealed that she had hooked up with his cousin Harris, who was conveniently there to comfort her after her breakup. Having zero intention of leaving Belize empty-handed, Stephanie asked Harris to be her new 90-day fiancé, casually handing him $100 to spend on snacks, which is roughly equal to his bi-weekly paycheck. Though Harris agreed to follow her to America on a K1 visa, it became clear that Stephanie had every right to worry about his baby mama Emma, who'd been living with him for 14 years. In one of the cringiest confessionals in 90-day history, Harris admitted that Stephanie was his big break, as cameras panned to him kissing the mother of his children. He admitted,
"My mom, my dad, I can make better life for them. Plus my baby mother, Emma. It's only one time in history you get a good break like that."
Meanwhile, Stephanie was still in it for love, claiming Harris was her, quote, happily ever after. Getting dumped is bad enough, but getting dumped on your wedding day in the middle of a global pandemic is a whole new level of pain. Natalie and Mike had been at odds since the beginning of their relationship, but during season 8 of 90 Day Fiancé, it became clear that Mike had never forgiven his Ukrainian girlfriend for giving back her engagement ring, even though he flew her to rural Washington on a K1 visa. Towards the end of the season, it seemed like they had patched things up, and as the pandemic swept across the nation, the pair scheduled an intimate backyard wedding ceremony, only for Mike to get cold feet the morning of their big day, 3 days before Natalie's visa expired. Not only did she have to leave the country, but she couldn't even go home because Ukraine had closed its borders.
I'm sorry, I'm crying. I'm sorry, I have to tell you we cancel our wedding.
Still, it's hard to pinpoint the cringiest part of Mike and Natalie's drawn-out breakup. Viewers watched as Natalie called the officiant to cancel, sobbing so much she could barely breathe. But wait, there's a surprise twist. With literal hours to go before her visa expired, the happy couple finally tied the knot in a low-key ceremony.
And Natalie, you may kiss your husband.
Yeah. It's hard not to feel a little bit sorry for Yulia, who left behind her busy city life in Russia to live with Brandon on his parents' farm in Virginia. From the looks of it, she had no idea that she'd basically be treated like an indentured servant, forced to feed farm animals at the crack of dawn while her husband was away at work. Though the couple had plenty of cringy moments, like the pregnancy scare they really didn't need to tell Brandon's parents about, the worst came first. And the awkward scene set the tone for the couple's journey throughout season 8. During the dinner scene, Brandon's mother Betty lays down the law. The pair are not permitted to share a bedroom, even though they are engaged. This was a fact Brandon conveniently left out, to which his father openly admitted,
"He wasn't being honest. Shame on you."
Things spiraled from there, with Betty insisting that the couple start using birth control as Yulia becomes visibly uncomfortable. Meanwhile, Brandon, who is a 27-year-old man about to become a husband, stays mostly silent. Betty even takes the argument further, calling a gynecologist on Yulia's behalf, even though Yulia doesn't want to introduce hormones into her body at the behest of her fiancé's mother. The overall situation gets bad enough that later in the series, Yulia threatens to go home. Libby's wedding in Moldova reads like a caricature of an American abroad, with her father showing up to the airport in a USA hat and her brother Charlie complaining that he's not in Tampa anymore. It's clear the family was full of fire from the start, but things really take flight at the reception. A traditional affair with dancers, singers, and an array of food and flowers. The lavish nature of Libby and Andrei's reception caught Libby's family off guard, with her sister Jen complaining in a confessional,
"It was going to kind of be low-key and everything, and then we walk in and it's like, oh, like this is where all the money is gone that my dad has given them."
Saying that to producers is one thing, but saying it to the couple at their wedding in front of all their guests is something else entirely. And that's the route Charlie took when he got absolutely tanked, grabbed the microphone, pointed at his dad, and slurred,
"I just say, don't come to America and try to live off my dad. Don't ask my dad."
The gang narrowly avoided a brawl before Libby's dad smoothed it over. But to be honest, it's awkward family drama like this that keeps us coming back for more. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more Nicki Swift videos about your favorite reality stars are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.